I'm Acela Roeder. I'm the manager of sponsored projects, and I brought with me your contract and grant administrators that serve you here at OSP. So I have Megan Crawford, who serves the Los Alamos branch. So I'm just going to switch the slide here. And then Shannon Denicelli, who does the Gallup branch, Taos, and Valencia. So these are the folks that are on the other side of the email. And yes, applause is welcomed, because these are the folks that you guys work with most closely. They are the ones that answer your emails, answer your questions, are on the other end of the phone working with you day in and day out. And they're basically the experts that are going to be helping you facilitate your proposals, work with your awards, help you negotiate your contracts and grants through that. So I just wanted to make sure you had a name with a face, and if they can, they're going to come back and be here at lunch as well, so that they have an opportunity to network with you a little bit closer. Okay, so they just wanted to come in, so that way you could know who's on the other end of that phone line. So if they want to exit, they can, but if they don't, they could hear my nice, fun-filled spiel. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about myself. I've been at UNM for about 18 years. My anniversary, I think, date was yesterday, which is kind of crazy. I've been in research administration for about 16 of those 18 years. And I've only been at the Office of Sponsored Projects for about a year. And that year anniversary was also yesterday, which is kind of crazy. So I'm kind of coming to you from the perspective of the administrator who helped those faculty with those proposals, getting them set up with their budgets, their budget justifications, all those support components that came into play. So I'm going to be talking to you from both of those angles today, okay? So I wanted to talk to you about those kinds of pieces. And now my role at OSP is drawing on that experience and managing it as a whole for our faculty as well. So hopefully I can draw on that experience and help you kind of navigate the system. So we'll talk a little bit about what's a sponsored project. A sponsored project is an externally funded research or other scholarly activity that is defined, has a defined scope of work or a set of objectives that provides a basis for sponsored expectations. A sponsored project can be in a form of a grant, a contract, a cooperative agreement. It could also be funded or unfunded in a materials transfer agreement, a non-disclosure agreement, confidentiality agreements, etc. So sponsored projects are also characterized as having contractual obligations. So usually those scope of works, and we'll have acronyms throughout the day, it contains specific project plan for the research. A budget is related to the research and the reporting requirements. We have period of performance that are in there. There's usually deliverables. And we also want you to keep in mind that funded agreements may be accompanied by a purchase order. So a PO is a payment mechanism that entities are using to detail the costs that you guys are looking at for approving payment. In any case, these kinds of agreements are all going to be routed through the Office of Sponsored Projects. So we want you to start with us. From the grants management training that you guys all took online, one of what we wanted you guys to look at is the detailed information of who can be a PI, how the submission process works, and we just wanted to talk about, I wanted to reiterate just a few things about what we wanted you to keep in mind when you're working on your proposals, because we're not going to go into that so much. Just the Office of Sponsored Project, or OSP, is here to review and approve and submit your proposals on behalf of the University of New Mexico. We'll negotiate, accept awards on behalf of UNM. We're also going to be able to work with you, but PIs cannot negotiate or accept terms or conditions on behalf of UNM. Only designated officials are allowed to do that. So we want to make sure that that resonates very clearly. There are personal liabilities that people can take if they try and sign agreements on their own. So we want to make it very clear. Come through us, we'll help you navigate that process. We have templates, we have all kinds of things that will help you through that process. There are proposal submission guidelines. I've got the link for you there. It was also in the Prezi presentation. And And those things have kind of changed. You probably have heard the submission guidelines have gone into effect as of September 1 of this year about the new 5-day submission timeline and the 2-day submission for the technical piece that have gone into play. And what we really want to talk about is communication is key. The more you're talking with us, with Shannon, with Megan, the better off we can kind of get your proposals going. We can understand where you're coming from, and we can help you get there a lot faster. If we know that you have a contract to work with, we can get you the template that you need in order to get there. Okay? So, any questions about the grants management training that you guys went through? Were there any questions about that? Was it clear? Okay. So, one of the main things you guys asked for in the feedback questionnaires were you wanted to see a little bit more information on the budget preparation and in Cayuse. So that's kind of what I'm going to dive into this morning, is giving you a little bit more information on how you can use the budget templates that we have available to you and how to utilize Cayuse to the best of our ability. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. For us, there's the budget development piece. And if you've been in this field for any number of years, weeks, months, you know that budget development requests come in any variety of forms. It can come in an email, it can come in just somebody coming to your office and say, hey, I need a budget, somebody's asked me to do a little bit of work. So you're going to be able to work from even an old budget so that they may want to revise. So we want you guys to have a helpful tool that can work with you to be flexible and adjustable and that everybody's comfortable with. So we've started using another budget tool. It's an Excel format, so it's really user-friendly and it's editable. So this was previously used at the School of Engineering, so it's something that I'm really familiar with because I was there for about 9 years. So we want to have something that not only faculty can utilize, but staff can understand, and it's really in one sheet, kind of gives you a snapshot of everything you want to go in. So we want it also to have ease of use for review. So it's kind of different when you kind of think about it in your head of what you think you want in that budget compared to what you see it laid out with the F&A and with the budget, the tuition that's in there, and the fringe rates and all of that. So when you're asked to prepare a budget, these are kind of the questions we want to look at. You want to look for the solicitation. You want to ask for that first, because sometimes that gives you a lot of information, what the limitations are. You want to know what the PI is actually wanting to include in that budget. Do they want their own salary? Do they want another PI salary? Do they want a release time or summer salary? Do they want to provide staff salary, graduate students, materials and supplies, travel, etc.? We also want to know the period of performance for that. Do they want, is it going to be crossing fiscal years? Next fiscal year, we're changing the F&A rate, so we really want to be mindful of that, because if you're starting January 1 of this year and it's crossing to that next fiscal year, you're going to be doing an F&A adjustment. So we want to keep that in mind. We want to know if there's F&A restrictions. Maybe you're doing a education grant or a fellowship grant, and those have restrictions to 8%. So there are some other ones that state grants might be 20%. You're going to know that if you read the solicitation thoroughly. You want to know if the faculty is going to be working with another faculty member that might be outside of your school and outside of your college, and that may be resulting in an F&A split. So those are kinds of things that you want to look at because it's going to impact the budget. You also want to know if there's going to be subcontractors or consultants. So if so, you want to work with that ahead of time and know that, because it's going to mess with the timing as you prepare your budget. You want to build that into your timing. You want to also know if there's going to be cost share. Is it voluntary cost share? Is it required cost share? And you want to start hammering out who's going to be providing that cost share, and also make sure you have time for that. So I know this is a lot of information to go at one time, but Vanessa's going to provide you with my slides. So with the information that the PI provides, you want to read the solicitation thoroughly. Whether you're the PI, whether you're the person assisting the PI, that solicitation is really your key, your guide to understand all the key components to what's going to be required in that solicitation. It takes just as much work to put together a $10,000 proposal as it does a $1 million proposal. So if there's things that you're going to find that are going to inhibit you from going for that proposal, it's best to find it early on and go for another proposal than it is to put effort and energy into that where it could have been directed in another direction. So if you find and catch those kinds of things, for me, I thought that was job security, because then it's like, okay, you can't go for this one, but there's another one we could look at. And later on this afternoon, they're going to talk to you about pivot and other ways of finding funding opportunities for you. So there's another way. But it's frustrating if you get to the end and then your contract and grant administrator says, you know, you realize you're not eligible for that. And we would hate to have it come to that. So in the draft budget, the PI is going to, when you pull this together, you want to make sure that you're using the most current F&A rates. Our template has all the most correct fringe rates, tuition rates, and F&A rates. So, but if you're using your own template, there's where you would go and find your own. So now that I'm talking about all this stuff, I kind of want to demo it for you. Okay, so we're going to switch slides. We're going to have a quick switcheroo of the spread, so I can show you a spreadsheet view, and then we're going to hand out some flyers, and Vanessa's going to come up and help you. But what I'm going to tell you a little bit about is that this tool is user-friendly. It's in Excel, so that it's going to help you in your budget development needs. And if you're not familiar with Excel and you want more training and you want more help, UNM has a great tool that's free. It's a free resource. It's lynda.com. And lynda.com does not only provide help with Excel, it provides help with Word, Dreamweaver, Photoshop. So all these other, and PowerPoint. Vanessa! She's trying to get out. Can you hand those out? I'm going to show it to you on the screen, and we're going to have to zoom in and zoom out, I think, because this looks all small and funky. You're going to have your project title up here, and I couldn't think of a good one. So we also have up here in the light green escalation rate. So we have a 3% salary increase, because, you know, we're all hoping for raises, right? And then we have our tuition escalation rate, because we know tuition goes up. What I did here is you'll see that I have A and it's hidden to go to F. Vanessa could unhide this, and you'll see that FY16 was here. And what I did is I just put a base salary in here for our PI and our staff. And I hid it because all we need is their base salary, okay? And the reason I put the base salary is that, so you click it and hit unhide, but you guys get the gist of where I'm going. So I hid columns so I could make it really small for you guys to print so you guys could put your readers on. But the base is here so that the escalation rate would go on. You don't have to pre-calculate for yourself what is going to happen in this calculation. He asked for a month, so you've got a month, and then you're carrying it forward for the 3 years. And if you scale over, you're going to see that your fiscal years are 17, 18, and 19. And then it goes over for a total of the 36 months. And you've captured the summer salary. And then if we go back over and scroll down, we've got their release time that they're asking for as well, because they want to get out of teaching a class. Scroll down farther, please. And I think I might have hidden it from myself. There's another 10,082. So there's two 10,082s. It's right here. It's right there. So he's got 1 month of release and 1 month of summer. Then they're asking for their staff member who also got a raise. The postdoc, however, is brand new, so they're going to start at a new base salary. Okay? And if we scroll down, the same is true for the graduate student, and we have an undergraduate student. What I did for the undergraduate student is we know that a normal hourly employee would have 2,080 hours that they could have in any given year. Since they're asking for quarter time, what I did is divided that up, did the math. About a quarter time is approximately 550 hours. So that's what we're estimating for them at $12.50 an hour to give them an idea of what that's going to be. Then we've got tuition. I'm assuming they're getting 9 hours a semester, and they're not going to be getting any credit hours in the summer, because that's what my PI has told me. That auto-calculates for me their summer research fringe, their research faculty fringe, and the fringe for the staff, the postdoc, and the graduate and undergraduate student. I've also added in health insurance for them, and then we also go into the equipment, the travel, etc. So what's different here is you notice that most of what you enter in is in the light yellow highlighted areas. The light green is telling you that there's a subaward in here, and if you scroll down just a smidge more, the little asterisk is telling you in the instance of a subaward, don't forget to add back in your F&A for the first $25,000 of each subaward. So Vanessa, if you go into that modified, if you go into that cell, what you'll notice in that subaward line here is that I added back in the first amount of the $12.50, because we're only going to calculate F&A on that first $25,000 of the subaward. So I added it back in year 1 and year 2. Year 3 does not have that F&A calculation on it. Okay? And the contract and grant administrators will go in and test that for you. But there's your example of how that's going to work out for you, and that gives your PI an example of how this is going to cost them, what's this going to cost. Okay? Questions or comments on that so far? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so there's a line here for research faculty. So adjunct, are they 9-month or 12-month faculty normally, or what is their normal base pay? Where does it come from? Do they have a, what's their hiring mechanism?
Adjunct faculty are hired 1 semester at a time.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure what you mean by base pay.
So normally their base pay would be per year.
Can you clarify that? I'm not really sure.
So their base salary, so this is, I'll go into it in another slide, but you can search what their base salary is in the Sunshine portal through UNM, and their base pay is what their pay would be per year. So you're going to actualize that in a yearly basis. So if they're paid for a semester, and that is 4 months approximately of the year, we're going to have to calculate that out, but we'll help you with that. And we can work through a real live example if you want at a break. So just to keep going back to the budget template, just to let you know that, like I mentioned, I started in FY16, but I inserted the base rates in FY16 to pick up the escalation rate. And also in column Z, I picked the start and end date, so I adjusted those columns to make sure my start and end date were there for you. And I had hidden cells for PIs and staff, so you can unhide them to add more staff if you need them. Say you have 10 staff, it has that capability. Like I mentioned, you use the highlighted areas that are in yellow to add information, and if you have subawards, you add back the first $25K to any subaward. It's not per year, it's per subaward, okay? To the total modified total direct cost. Okay, and then if you don't have the salary information, current faculty and staff salaries can be obtained using the Sunshine portal, and that's the link there. And this budget tool is only a tool because you're going to be entering in budget information. You might need to re-enter it into the agency-specific forms, and you might be using it Fastlane, you might be using Inspires, you might have another state agency forms that they require. LANL requires another form altogether. You're using this as a base for us to understand and you to work with your faculty to say this is how it's going to break out, and then you're going to be sometimes re-entering it. But again, if you'd like to see other information in here, we can work with you and adjust it in there. The benefit to using this tool, though, is that we can work with you, we can edit it, and it's more easily reviewable on our end. Okay? And many times you're going to need to rework the budget several times and go back and forth with your faculty member because it's not going to be right the first time. They're not going to be happy because they're not going to know that that's what it looked like. It might be too high, it might be too low, you might be going for a certain dollar amount, so you want to make sure that there's able to adhere to the solicitation specifications. So you really want to be able to make sure you go back and double check that no formulas were skewed. Try and ask them to stay within the yellow areas. That's why we highlighted those areas, to make sure that none of those formulas are adhered to or tweaked. Cayuse SP. Okay, so now that the budget and the budget justification is complete, the project title and the key information should be gathered so you can begin working on your Cayuse SP proposal. Okay, so I'm not sure, I'm assuming everybody's familiar with our electronic routing system, which is Cayuse. If you're not, we have a slide here as to how to go in and get a Cayuse research account. The Office of Sponsored Projects can create an account for you, and they have access to create it either in Cayuse, in NSF Fastlane, or NIH ERA Commons. So you can go into our website at osp@unm.edu, and there's a little button that says, oops, new account request right here, and you'd go in and tell us what you need. If you need specifics, say you already have an NSF account number and you've gone from another institution, come from there, you want to tell us what your NSF account number is, and we'll affiliate you with UNM, and then that'll make it a little bit easier for you. So, okay. Now we'll go into, we have a Cayuse tutorial that Vanessa and myself and one of the FRSOs have been working on. And it's very in-depth and very detailed, and it takes you step by step how to use Cayuse. I'm going to give you more of an overview today because of the time constraints that we have today. But I want to let you know that a full tutorial is going to be available to you on our website a little later. We want you guys also to be aware you want to always start with a Cayuse SP record. There are two components in Cayuse. You're going to see a welcome page when you go in there, and it says Cayuse SP and Cayuse 424. Always start with Cayuse SP, okay? And I'm going to show you right here is your welcome page. When you log in, you're going to be getting this, you're getting your authentication page. And this is all the time when you're logging in, they're always asking you for your net ID and your password. We're no different. We're going to ask you for that. You're going to enter in to the eVisions Research Suite. You're going to come here into Cayuse SP, okay? And you're going to enter right in, and we're going to start you to build that proposal that you just worked so hard to get that budget completed for, okay? And that budget is where you're going to have the building blocks for it, but you're not going to have all the pieces. That solicitation was what you started with. Hopefully the PI has given you a title. But what you're going to see when you enter Cayuse is this dashboard. This dashboard is going to be for the PIs. It's going to be the same looking for the PIs, the administrators as well. So they have My Dashboard, they have a reporting option, they have an ability to log out, and the My Dashboard, you're going to be here at, to say Start a New Proposal. Okay, and when you go in here, we want to make sure you guys understand that the best way to use Cayuse SP is to use Firefox or Internet Explorer. You can also use Safari and Chrome, but they're not as well supported as the other two. To start a new record is you're going to start entering in information. You're going to start the proposal, and you're going to see the funding agency. You're going to enter in all the information that you started to get from your solicitation, okay? Those solicitation information, you're going to add your PIs, as you go through here, but all of this stuff is starting to be built for you as you go through this solicitation piece, okay? You're gonna be entering your name if you're the department contact as well. So you'll note that any field with a red asterisk are required, and the little red arrow indicates that the item that you're currently on, okay? So you start building your proposal, and you'll start to see that you start getting these little green check marks here. You've already done the general page, and you're going through to start building the rest of your proposal. So you get the item number right away for a Cayuse record number, and that's what you'll use to talk to your contract and grant administrator to say, I have a question on this, I'm not done, can you go look at it for me? I don't know what I did, I can't upload a PDF, whatever the questions are, you can use this number and they can look at it with you at the same time, okay? So there are other options for them. If they have a green check mark, that means you're done and there's nothing else you need to do. If there's no check mark, it means you still need to complete that section, okay? So there's all of these different components that we're going through as well. So I want to go back here and start the budget piece. When you entered your budget, what I had mentioned to you is that you're going to be entering budget information differently. Here in Cayuse, we're only asking for a summary of the budget. So you're only going to take those total dollar amounts from year one, and I have to put this a lot closer to me. You're going to be putting your start and end date. Well, this was an older proposal of mine, so it doesn't match, but I want you to note you're going to want to put the summary information here. You're going to want to put the number of budget periods. You want your current period, which is going to be your first year, for your current start and your current end date, okay? And then any notes that you might have. In this particular example that I pulled yesterday, it's that this one was a modular budget, so it comes in a little bit differently. So you want to note anything that the CGAs need to be aware of. So in your example, you would put that I used actual fringe rates rather than estimated fringe rates. And then you want to make sure that you note here, it says, does a proposal include funds or contributions that require cost sharing? Here it says no. If it's yes, it would come up with another box where it's asking you to indicate where those cost sharing funds are coming from. You'll have to provide an index, and there'll be some other information that is provided as well, the amounts and things like that. And then it breaks it down into the F&A rates. And if you'll notice that the current periods here crossed fiscal years from the current period through the entire project period, and it gave us a change in effective F&A over the course of the 2 years because it crossed fiscal years, okay? So on my next budget screen, it gives you the second half. This is all pretty on your screen. You can see it in one screenshot, but since we were putting it on slides, it kind of goes to 2 screens. You'll enter the sponsored project direct costs and then your F&A base rate, and how you came up with that is going to be all from right here. It's going to be clearly defined. So you're just going to be able to pull that money out right here and enter it right here into Cayuse, into the sponsored direct costs codes and the F&A rate. And this is going to actually be a checker for you to make sure sometimes you might be off for $1. $1's okay. And then you'll hit the save button here. And then it also asks if you need additional resources, because then you'll note that up at the top as well. So we'll keep going down the Cayuse record piece. On these records, you're always going to have the option to save, and you'll want to hit that as you go through here. Let's see. There's a little bit of a difference when you need to do a 424 record. If you're going with a grants.gov opportunity or a system-to-system proposal, you will use Cayuse 424. So 424 is a system that will allow you within Cayuse to transmit electronically your entire proposal from UNM to the other agency. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that because the Cayuse tutorial that we did, that is a step-by-step process, does not have SP in it yet. So we're going to build that in, but it's just not there yet. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that process. The paired proposal for, and let me see if I did that. Yeah, here is that you want to make sure that you're selecting the right opportunity. So you'll have that from your solicitation. You'll have a CFDA number, you'll have an opportunity number, and you'll be able to go in there to SP and pull it. So in SP, at the bottom of the general page, it's going to ask you if you want to pair this proposal with a Cayuse 424 record. Sometimes you'll leave it blank, but if it's a 424 record or system-to-system proposal, you're going to click that button to pair that proposal. Okay? If you find out later it's not supposed to be system-to-system, you can unpair it. So it's not dire if you hit the button. What's going to happen when you hit that button is you're going to come to the opportunities page in Cayuse 424, and you're going to begin to download those opportunities. I did a search for this particular solicitation, and the opportunity was already there. If the opportunity is not there, you can click this other button that says download opportunities, because sometimes that opportunity has not yet been downloaded into our system. You can go ahead and do that. If you have the CFDA number or the call number, you can download that opportunity, and it's really easy to do. You go in there, you pull it, ask is this the one, it pulls it in, and then you push this green plus mark, and you pull the opportunity. And what you'll then get is this 424 record that you'll then start to build. In 424, what's a little bit daunting is once you get this screen, oops, instead of seeing 0 errors, 1 warning, and 5 things of information, you're going to get probably 54 to 70 errors, 10 warnings, and some things of information. So that looks a little bit daunting at the onset when you first start going into that. It's really easy to fix. Usually when you come in here, there's a little pencil mark right here, and you're going to go in and you're going to pick your CGA. Once you pick your CGA, 10 errors are gone. You go to the next one, you start doing the same kind of thing. So it's really quick and easy to go ahead and start filling out the information, and those errors start to dissipate. And you'll go through it step by step, and if you go in here and you click the errors, say you're not sure what you missed, you can click in the errors. That error button will tell you exactly what's wrong. You can click on there, and it'll take you exactly to where the error is that you need to fix. Normally what we've seen is they're missing attachments at the very end and those kinds of things. All of those attachments need to be in PDF format. And we'd like to make sure that that's ready to go well before submission time. So with the system to system, we want to make sure you build in enough time. We want to be able to review it, talk to you about it, and work through the submission window. Once you've completed your 424 record, it's free of errors if that's applicable, if you're going 424, and your SP record has all the green check marks up until the additional notes. You don't have to fill out additional notes if you don't have any notes. You're going to be ready to submit and route to the Office of Sponsored Projects. So once you have talked to your PI, you understand all the ramifications of the compliance issues. Sometimes you have to go back and ask the questions. Does this have export control? Is there any regulatory compliance issues I should be aware of? IRB, IA-Cook, does it have animal subjects in there? Are there any biohazards that are going to be used? Anything that's radioactive? Because sometimes they won't disclose that at the time that you guys are talking about the budget piece, because the technical piece won't be something that you're fully ingrained upon at the time of budget. So those are things that you're going to be asking in order for you to fill out the Cayuse record. The PI will need to go in and certify that, but you're going to be sending it off to the PI, and then you'll start the routing process. And once you're done with this, we're going to start the routing, and this is what it's going to kind of look like. You're going to see that you're in here, and you're going to see that you have a proposal that's built, and you have all these folks that are going to come in and take a look at it. You have your proposal number here. You know that it's a paired proposal, and that's how you know that it's paired proposal is you have this little orange lightning bolt. If you didn't have that orange lightning bolt, it would not be a paired proposal. So you know who the lead investigator is, you know who the sponsor is, and you know when it's due. So all of these things are due, and you need to start certifying the proposal. So you want to make sure that the PI is aware that it's ready to be certified, and then it's going to come into their PI certification inbox. Cayuse also automatically sends an email once you submit it for routing, but the PIs might not be aware, or they might not be familiar with Cayuse, so you might need to walk them through how that works. So we want to just make everybody aware of how that process goes. So one thing that I'm not sure if you guys are aware of, we've been doing some cleanup in Cayuse, and we've been syncing with Banner. So there have been some changes in the org hierarchy that we've been doing in Cayuse. So if there is changes in your organizational structure, if people have changed over time, you might want to come see me at a break so that we can check on your routing status so that I can make sure that it's up to date and make sure that people that are in your routing queue are who are supposed to be in your routing queue. And if not, we can start to make some changes and some tweaks in there. Because what we'd hate to do is for you to start a proposal, get it all ready to be routed, and then it gets stuck in a queue. Okay? But you can actually come in and view the routing queue and see what's going on with it at any given time. Okay? When you're ready to route, you'll also be able to see right down here, these are all your screens. You'll see the green check marks. And this is where you'll see in your approving departments, this is what you'll see on your side. You won't see all the people affiliated with it until you push that routing button. You'll just see these are all the folks that are in the chain. And you'll see that right here we have in line 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do simultaneous routing if you want. You could say 2, 2. But sometimes if there's a dean's level, you can't. They have to be the last in the line, depending on how you guys have your schools and colleges set up, your branches. That might be the very last executive director kind of thing. We just want people to be aware of how that works out. So it started to route. The PI is going to certify. And the PI, these are the tabs that the PI is going to see. They have the certification inbox. They see which ones they need to certify, and they go to that item number, and they click certify the proposal. And what they're going to see is this text, which I know you can't read because I can't read it from this close. But they're going to be certifying that they created the Cayuse record to the best of their abilities. There's no false or fictitious information, nothing fraudulent. They have no, plagiarism in here, that they are taking responsibility for all scientific, fiscal, ethical conduct in here, and they're going to comply with relevant state, federal, university laws, and they are complying with export control laws. They agree to the inventor assignments, and that they agree with NIH applications to comply with NIH policy and public access. So they're basically signing off that they are going to adhere to all applicable regulations here when they submit and certify. So we want to make sure that they're taking that seriously. And what happens after they propose and certify is it starts going down that routing chain that we just saw and talked about. So then everybody else starts to see it. And like I mentioned, we can make sure that those go simultaneous in routing. So you can have 2 people looking at it at the same time and approving it, but usually the last person to get it will be the dean's level or the last college that needs to approve it, and then of course the Office of Sponsored Projects will be the very last to review it. There's also places to put in notes for the approvers, so if the college is signing off on cost share, they can validate that they understand and authorize that cost share in that proposal and authorize that. And then authorized persons need to adhere to the 5-day deadline as well. So we're trying to make sure that those emails are hitting everybody's queue so that goes quickly. So then OSP has it. And then once we have it, we want to make sure that if there are any questions, concerns, any issues that we see, we want to be able to have enough time to come back and work with you, talk to you, see what, if we didn't understand something, if maybe we can help explain something differently. We want to make sure that we get those issues clarified and corrected, or maybe we just come to understand what it is that you were saying, so that we can get that taken care of prior to the submission deadline. That's why we're working on those 5-day and 2-day deadline, is so that we're not submitting at the last minute and we're not submitting without proper review. So that's why we're kind of talking about communication being key. So our main web page, okay, so I realized that the material I went over was fast, right? I talk fast normally, so it's a lot to take in. And there are a few things I want to leave you with, okay? There are tools that are available on our website. So here's our main page. Our email address is osp@unm.edu. Forms can be found here at this link. A Cayuse account can be created here. And I know you guys aren't able to attend our RAN meetings because they're every second Tuesday of the month. But we post the resources shortly after the meetings. So we have presentations, we have handouts, and I send the agendas out to the RAN listserv. So if you're not on the listserv, you can get on the listserv on our main web page. That is where, you know, since I've been here a year, I've been saying this is a year of transition. Next year I'm going to have to come up with a new tagline. But that's part of the transition, is trying to be more transparent, more consistent, giving more information out to those who need it. And this was part of a way to do that. So you'll be able to go into that RAN resource page and see all of the meetings from January to date, and kind of get a sense of what we've been doing, get tools, tips, trainings, presentations, all of that right there. And then we have a listing of your contract and grant administrator, so that you can call, email, you have the contact information. So ultimately, we're here to help you with your research mission, and we can't do that without you guys, right? So in order for me to keep my job, and be good at it, I need to know what you need. So if I know what you need, I can do better in giving you that service. So I want to be able to know what it is that the branches need, what it is that faculty need, what it is that staff need, so that we can support those needs. So I want to just make sure, if there are areas you see that need to be improved, you need tweaks in that budget template, you just reach out and you let us know, and we will start to make those tweaks. I am working with the budget template to make some adjustments to make it multi-year, multi-PI, and crossing fiscal years. So that way that if you're starting in January and that sort of thing, you can do a crossing fiscal year, do some summary sheets and some other things. So there are new things coming out. We're just not ready yet. So there are some other components that are coming on down the way. So does that answer your question? Okay. All right. I really appreciate your time and attention. And I think I'm just about out of time, but that was my last slide. So thank you. All right. So you're on your break.